I come on the floor, I remind everyone, the reason why 9/11 was possible was because al-Qaeda was able to establish a safe haven in Afghanistan under the protection of the Taliban. And from that safe haven, they raised money, they recruited, they plotted, they planned, and they ultimately carried out the most devastating terrorist attack in U.S. history. And we can never allow for another similar safe haven to take root. This is especially true when the group trying to establish such a safe haven, in fact, not just a safe haven, but a caliphate run by a radical government, is a group whose express goal is to establish that caliphate, to use it to terrorize the people of the United States by attacking us here in the United States in the hopes of driving us out of the Middle East, and then of destroying Israel and of establishing their brand of Islam and forcing it on all the peoples and countries of the region. We cannot allow such a safe haven to take root. If it does, if they are successful in their goals of creating a new country, a new state, this Islamic radical caliphate, we will have in the future grave risks and potentially severe and devastating terrorist attacks against Americans, both abroad and here in the homeland. This group has a very clear mandate. They have been very clear about what their goals are. But in order to carry that out successfully, they need an operational space. We cannot allow them to create one in Iraq. And that is what this issue is about. That is why this issue matters. Now, I know that when I say things like what I say, I open myself up to those voices that say there are warmongers and people that go back to war. Absolutely not. On the contrary, what has happened here is, after looking at this issue, studying the lessons of the past 20 years and what we have learned after 9/11 especially, it becomes evident to me that we're going to have to deal with this group. That is not what we are debating. The issue before us that we have to decide is, when do we deal with them? Do we deal with them now, when they still have not created that caliphate? Or do we deal with them 5 or 10 years down the road, when they've established a safe haven and significant operational capacity? It's going to cost a lot more money, potentially many more lives, and in the process, significant terrorist attacks and terrorist risks if we deal with it later. It will cost less money, be more effective, and be a lot less dangerous if we deal with it now. And so that must be our goal here, not to allow this group, ISIS, to establish a safe haven of operation in Iraq, or in Syria for that matter, and then give the people of Iraq the opportunity to decide a future for themselves. And that is important, which is why this issue of Iran is important. I've been asked by reporters and others, should we be working with Iran? My opinion, based on all that I have learned regarding this situation, and based on factors that are obvious for anyone to see, is that we do not share the same goal that Iran does. We don't have the same goals here. Iran's goal is not simply to defeat ISIL. Iran's goals in Iraq is to establish a Shia government that oppresses Sunnis and that is responsive to them. That is their goal. What they want to set up in Iraq is a puppet government under the control of Iran. That is not our goal. That's our goal. It never has been our goal. Our goal is to ensure that a terrorist organization cannot establish a safe haven. And our hope is that the Iraqi people can create for themselves a government and a country where both Shia and Sunni can live in peace and harmony among each other. But that's up to them. We can help them do that, but we can't make them do that. But what we can do is everything we can to ensure that this terrorist group doesn't take root. And so I think our goals are completely incompatible with Iran's. The other thing I would say is that we should not do anything to legitimize that regime. That regime is the world's greatest state sponsor of terrorism. In virtually every continent on this planet, Iran has a hand in sponsoring terrorism. So I'm not sure how we could possibly work side by side to wipe out terrorism with a government that sponsors terrorism more than any other government on the planet. And I caution against that approach as well. So to close the loop here today, I hope that we will spend most of our time focused on what we need to do now and in the future. We have forever to debate who was right and who was wrong about the war in 2003 or the surge in 2007. Number two, I hope that the announcement the President made today was the first step in a multi-step process that will allow us to prevent ISIL from establishing the kingdom, the caliphate, and the safe haven they seek. I hope we make clear to the American people that what the stakes are here for us, that the reasons why we care about what's happening in Iraq is not because we want a nation build or because we want to force any sort of government on the people of Iraq. Their future belongs to them. It is because we cannot allow a terrorist group that has the stated goal and the increasing capacity of attacking the United States from establishing an operational space like Afghanistan was for al-Qaeda before 9/11. And I hope it will continue to play the important role of the Senate in speaking out and in hoping to give guidance and advice to the Commander-in-Chief. But as I said yesterday, ultimately, the role of leading on this matter corresponds to the President. Only the President of the United States can come up with a plan that hopefully all of us can unite behind, because it's that important for our country and for our future and for our security. Madam President, I yield the floor and suggest the absence of a quorum.